Majestix podcast. As always, my name is Chase, and with me today we have Pat.
What's up?
And like we said last week, Paris is back.
What's up?
Our first recurring guest.
I know.
Part 2.
Well, Paris has a lot to talk about. So, the topic we left off was, you're being nice. You said soft cheating, which is basically cheating.
Don't offend the cheaters.
Why don't you expand on this? Because I believe there's 3 ways to look at your what you're gonna explain. Go ahead.
Like 3 ways to look at it, or like 3 ways to cheat?
3 ways to look at it. Oh, there's a million ways to cheat.
Well, I think like three categories of cheating, I guess.
No. There's 3 ways to look at this situation.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the main thing, is, I think there's a problem in Heroclix because there's not a lot of, because I think I saw you say the other day that it's like the biggest collectible game besides the big 3, right?
Yeah.
But
there's not much regulation.
Yeah, it doesn't have the tournament rules system that, because people say all the time that, oh, well, if you declare an action and you put a token on, then if you want to take it back, then it's up to your opponent to decide if you're allowed to do that or not. But there's nothing that says that. I mean, there's nothing in the rulebook that says, once you declare an action, then you've done it. You know what I mean? There's nothing that specifies when stuff is, because like in Magic it says, if you play a card, then you can't because you've shown information and stuff like that,
Right.
So it clearly, it's pretty much clearly defined what you can take back and what you can't and stuff, but it's not really in Heroclix. And since it's a different game than like card games and stuff, I don't think people really have an idea of what a good, rule for it would be. So,
wait, just real quick, let me cut you off on there real quick, because you brought something up about the everything is explained in those rules about in Magic, right? Just real quick on if you look at like the DCI or the Wizard of the Coast tournament rules and everything, it's like 100 pages.
Yeah.
So because they want to cover every little thing, it's basically like a lawyer's handbook.
Yeah, like literal lawyers.
I tried to do something like this when we first started the ROC, and I got shut down real quick by Norm.
Oh yeah.
And because the way they do their, if you look at their tournament rules, it's very basic.
Yeah,
like
it's like 3 pages.
It doesn't tell you every little thing, and that's what I wanted to do. I actually started doing it. I had like 20. I basically took the Wizards of the Coast DCI version and then tried to adapt it to Heroclix. And then I got shut down, and obviously it's something like that. It's like, oh, there's too much stuff, and but I was saying at some point we're gonna run into things like this, which is like what we're running into now. Yeah. And there's no concrete way. It's a case by case basis, which is not how it should be for high level, quote unquote pro.
Yeah. So it's so ambiguous that like, because there's still already angle shooting in Magic where you're just exploiting a gray area or whatever, and that's like a super tight rule.
Explain that real quick. Angle shooting, because some people might not know.
Just like exploiting like gray areas in the rules, or your opponent's just like lack of knowledge of the rules, or like inexperience with that specific interaction or whatever. Just like not actually like not like pulling a card out of your pocket or anything, but just trying to yeah, just trying to be like, so is this how I do it? And just try to mess it over where it goes in your advantage. You'd be like, oh yeah, and then if it comes back later, just be like, oh yeah, I guess we just didn't really know,
Yes, that's a very big one.
And I think that with Heroclix, since the gray area is like so massive that it makes it really easy to do all that stuff. So I think that's one of the bigger problems as far as competitive Heroclix goes is, and specifically, obviously, the stalling would be like the biggest one. But also taking back, like, if you say, I'm going to sidestep to this square, are you allowed to say, well, actually, I'm going to sidestep to this square? I mean, there's not really, and most people will let you do that, but most people also say that once you finish an action, that's it. So, I mean, how far do you go? It's just kind of like everybody just has their own arbitrary thing of, oh, I'll let this person take this much back, and somebody else will be like, oh, I'll let him take this much back, and at least they're gray, and at least to a lot of people, like a lot of contentious stuff too, because because stalling obviously is cheating. It's said that it is, but someone can say, well, I'm not stalling. I'm just, playing slowly or whatever.
You know what, that's a good point because, do you remember a couple years ago when the whole Terry Ed Easton thing?
Yeah.
So there is really no concrete rule that you can look up for that situation. Where remember when it's last action, when they say last action, and you say, well, is it you declaring that you're going to do it, or do you need to actually be in the process of doing it and just finishing it? You remember that was the whole contention?
Yeah.
Remember it was, you called time, and I remember Easton was, I declared flurry already, but I was waiting to get dice from you.
Yeah.
And then I think Ed's point was, well, you didn't declare because you weren't in the action, you weren't in the act of doing it.
Right.
You just said that that's what you were going to do, or something along those lines, right?
Yeah.
But there was nowhere that you can look in the rule book or any document that says what is and what isn't.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big issue. But
yeah,
I think
as a tournament circuit, I mean, ROC can just make their own, rules for their tournament circuit if if Whiskers doesn't care enough to do it, so.
But because of that, the soft cheating is a you think it's prevalent?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's,
do you think people would agree with that statement?
People that go to tournaments, yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, I think most people that, although but again,
don't
I think
see that though. The most I see is they stall, like take too long.
Yeah.
That's about. But when it gets to that, where it's angle shooting or pretending you didn't know, to me that's a bigger issue in my opinion than stalling, because stalling is a little bit more concrete. You can more or less tell.
Yeah.
If they are, if you can figure out, basically, right? If they just got a sidestep left, it's not going to take like 2 minutes for you to decide. You know what I mean? Like that you can tell. But the lesser thing is when, for example, you attack someone on the Wakanda map, and they say, okay, well, I get +1 defense on the hindering. And then you say, okay, cool. Though, it's +2. And then but they say, oh, it's +1. So you say, okay, sure. And then you make the attack, and then, whatever it resolves. And then later on, you say, later on it comes up again. You go, oh, you know what? You actually would have missed because I was +2. It's like, oh yeah, you're right. We're in Wakanda. Oh, how dumb of me. But to me, a seasoned veteran who's been playing for a long time should know that.
Yeah.
Right? Would you say that's fair?
Yeah. And I mean, there was a time when I was playing against Ronnie one time, in top 16 or something at a super qualifier a long time ago, and it was coming down to time at the end, and he was up on points, but I had actions left or whatever, and so, but it was his turn, and so he called the judge over and asked if he could place smoke cloud on water. And obviously he knew that.
See, that's another one. That's another tactic, right?
Yeah. Just asking. You can ask anything. Oh, hey, is this line of fire? I mean, you can even. You can ask any number of things.
So in Magic, and this is what we've kind of implemented this here at the store and at other places where I've run the Open Series every now and then if it gets to the rule, it takes a while. But if there's a question, we will note on their score sheet, not their build sheet, but the match slip, that they have like a it'll say like +1 minute.
Oh yeah.
+2 minutes, +30 seconds because of a rules question.
Yeah. I think that would help a lot.
But that's hard because then they're just gonna. I mean, I guess that would stop people from asking all the time. But where do we draw the line on that, right?
Yeah.
Basic rules.
And my question too is like when you were bringing up earlier with like the sidestep thing. If somebody, let's say early in the match, first turn, you start sidestepping up, there's less implications. You're like, okay, I want to switch to this square, and then it'll be your turn, whatever. And the person's like, yeah, that's fine. Come like 4 turns later when it's a lot more important, and then that person then says, no, you already said I'm going to move to there. What, like, how does that?
I mean, there shouldn't be a difference, right? But
Yeah.
but
Maybe that's something we need to. But you know what, with HeroClix, because it's so fluid, like it's a lot less. I guess you would say cutthroat. Your traditional, because there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things that things are missed. So that's why there's a lot more leeway. But you're right. There needs to be something that's stringent that someone can go to, so there's no argument.
Yeah, I mean, if you want it to be like the most lenient way, and the way that I would like it, although it might lead to too much, just like too much freedom, but as long as you can take back anything within the same phase, as long as as long as there's been no dice rolls or your opponent hasn't made any choices. So like, if you pick a power and they have leech and they, say, well, you can't pick this power. You can't be like, okay, well, I'll just pick this other power, obviously. But until your like opponent makes a choice or you roll dice, then I think I can't think of anything else where it would be like, like new information,
So what about, you read the Sheriff Strange thing, right?
Yeah.
Where do you come? So
I have to read Sheriff Strange.
Okay.
So like if I have Sheriff Strange and my opponent calls in, if my opponent has Sheriff Strange and then I call in an ID and I just put a single token on it, don't say anything about it, and they don't say anything about it, and then I attack with the ID or whatever, and then later they go, oh, you should have double token.
I'm talking about right after, like before you make the attack.
So Sheriff Strange like right before. So like they have Sheriff Strange, you call in, you put a token on, and then right before you attack with the ID character, they say, "Oh, you should have 2 tokens."
Mm-hmm.
Well, for one thing, I would have to read Sheriff. Is Sheriff Strange optional?
No, it says it's instead a double power action.
Okay, so in that case, I think for sure then you have to take 2 tokens.
Sure. Okay. Now what if I go? You know what? Then I don't want to call him in.
Then I think that would be fine. Yeah, and especially for one thing, for me as an opponent, I would say, oh yeah, for sure, you don't have to call him in. For me, like as a judge, I would prefer to say, yeah, you don't have to call him in. But if I was gonna make that rule, I think I would have to make that clear that that's how I'm gonna rule things, like going into the tournament.
Right. Okay.
But otherwise, yeah, I would like it.
But you know what though? But you know what though? That you said how I'm gonna rule things, but that's not, because then it could be different from venue to venue.
Yeah.
Well, it could, because he has not an official rule. Yeah.
So that is a problem. Because the guys, so just to let you know, Chase, on the chat, the guys were like, you can just, that's fine. There's no taking back. It's just one action at that point. Warning for both of you guys going forward. You have to know that it's a double power action. I tend to agree. So like, but the guy's like, well, it's supposed to be this. We caught it, right away, kind of, like nothing really has happened other than I'm going to make the attack. So I could see it both sides. I could see, you know what, take it back. You don't want to do it because it's a double, or this time it's a one action and then you just continue.
Yeah.
But I think that's kind of.
It also was kind of like a bigger, like if if I already have one token and I say, okay, I'm going to call in, and then I take a second token. And then even if what if I attack and then they say, oh, hey, you couldn't have called in. So obviously you can't take it back because you rolled dice, but.
That's too far. Well, they've already agreed to it, though.
Yeah, that's
the biggest thing to me.
I think the thing is we do say that if you agree to it.
Yeah.
That's no different than in.
That's the game.
Yeah.
Because
if you agree to your defense being an 18, but you forget combat reflexes, they roll the dice. It doesn't change.
I will, because I'm just saying, because there are certain people out there that will to fight to the death. No, this is how it's supposed to be. You can't do that, and then whatever. You know what I mean? But I guess if we do explain it right away, because these people are going to be at the ROC Cup. Because
the agreeing thing. People will purposely try to get you to agree on the wrong number every single attack.
Well, yeah, but that's the only way.
Is that soft cheating?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But that goes to my. My first example about the Wakanda,
Yeah.
right? So if you both agree, I mean, obviously you guys should know the game state, but that's the only way I think to make sure that things are the way they are. Because if you go, oh, you know what, you forgot, I have a deflection. It's a trait.
I think that with the way that the numbers should actually be should always override what you think they are going to be.
Even though the dice roll has already been made and you're on to the next action.
If the dice roll has been, yeah, I mean, yeah, if you.
But that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. When you roll and you.
No, I know, yeah.
On this thing, you
No,
go, oh, you know what? Actually, this.
Yeah, like if they attack me, if it's a 13 to my 19, and they say 13 to 17, and I go, yeah, sounds right, and then they roll, and then I go, oh, you know what? I'm actually a 19, and then they missed. I think they should still miss. Like, I think the numbers that, even if I say yes.
No, because you're making the decision based off of those numbers.
Yeah, but you should. You're making a decision, and the numbers are what they are.
No, but you're making it based off of is that because like I said, there are a lot of things that are going on in the game. That's why we're very lenient. This isn't like other games where there are things that are happening that aren't denoted on the board.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like
how do you denote perplexed?
No,
we're perplexed.
But if they okay, so if they say, oh, it's 13 on the 17, and I go, yeah, and then they roll, and then I go, oh, no, wait, it's 19. Then I'm getting punished for forgetting my thing for like 5 seconds during their turn, but then they're not getting punished. But then, either way, one person is getting punished. So I think you should punish. I think you should punish the person. I think you should, if either one, if someone's going to get punished no matter what, I think you should go with the way it should be.
You know what though? Because now that could be now I could say okay, but how do I know that you don't know that? You see what I mean? Like, know that it's a 19.
That's why you're
waiting to see.
That's why it can go either way. So you just have to go with if at the end of the day, like after dice have been rolled, you just have to go with like the way it's supposed to be, so that it's fair to everybody.
No, okay. So this is why you need to have everything in the beginning. You can't change it. You can't rule it one way and then change it midway. It has to be all out in the open. That's why we say that. There's no way to do that in the game already. Yeah. So, but what you're saying is, whatever the numbers are, that's how it should be.
Yeah, like if one of the two people involved in the attack gets confused about the numbers during the attack, and then afterwards one of them realizes, oh hey, it should have actually been this, then I think that it should be like the way the numbers should actually be, because someone could be being fake, someone could be is going to get punished,
Exactly. But that is why we communicate, right? And that's why I say you have to communicate and you have to be clear. When you both to the next thing, that's when you go on to the next.
But then you're kind of sitting there, and then I'm like super scared, because then like every time I agree to a number, I'm gonna like sit there and like super look at everything and make sure that I'm agreeing to the right number. So then I don't know. That's gonna take a lot of extra time.
But then
you can use that as stalling and stuff.
But I can also argue the other way. What is the actual number? Then we're just really gonna but
that should only take like 5 seconds usually if you actually like get down to it. I don't know.
So then I could say that way too, right? It could also take 5 seconds to figure it out.
Well, but like once you get it figured out, then it's only 5 seconds to know for sure. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. I can see it both ways, but I still think that like, even if both people think it's a 4 and then they roll a 5 and then afterwards you're like, oh wait, it's a 6. I think they should miss.
Ooh, you know what? That's. Yeah, you know what? Though I think that's a tough sell, man. That's a tough sell.
I'll have to think about it.
Because the thing is, there is a big problem in Okay, so one of the things in Magic is purposely, I guess you can say, misrepresenting the game state. So if you're trying to purposely misrepresent the game state, that's actually grounds for DQ.
Yeah. So
that's why they have to agree. And it happens on camera in Magic when they forget, like, oh, you know what? Yeah. You needed to play one more mana. And when they forget that, then they look at the situation. I guess we could say case to case, but in the interest of saving time, we have to make a decision right away. Like, hey, this is how it is. Because it's not written. But in Magic, if there is something like that, they do look at who it benefits, and then they will punish. They will punish accordingly.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether whoever it benefits, and that person was the one that, quote unquote misrepresented, they will get they will get the punishment.
Right.
We could do that too.
Yeah, yeah.
However, there's nowhere we can point to in the rulebook to do that.
Yeah, you have to make that
That's
a thing.
why
yeah.
we have to say it right away so that we don't do this. And also remember, let's say there is like 80, 90 people there. There's only gonna be like 4 of us, maybe 3. And it's gonna be really hard to go around. I mean, that's a good point. So maybe that needs to be something that's written in the rules, right?
Yeah.
So, but with that said, okay, now, let me give you this example. Okay, so this is a real example. Emilio plays Tangent Green Lantern. Do you know what Tangent Green Lantern does?
No.
So when somebody dies on your turn, a friendly character dies, you put a marker on there, and then she can go over there, and then she can resurrect them for a turn.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And then they die the next turn. So basically, you use it for retaliators. You put them on the click they could be on, and then whatever. So keep in mind, he's played this about 9 rounds, 2 tournaments, 5 rounds in one, another 4. Actually, it's like 10 rounds because he made top 8 and top 4 in the other one. So in the finals, this is like one of the first time that we've actually seen in recording. I don't know if it happened with Chase you were watching when he played Steve, but when he played George in the top 4, George, something happened where something died on George's turn.
Mm-hmm.
And Emilio went over to put the special marker under there. And then George goes, "Oh, okay, wow, that's really good." And he goes, "Like, can I see the card?" Reads the card and says, "Oh, it has to only be on your turn if somebody dies." Basically, I think it also says friendly or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It is friendly.
It's only friendly, and is it on your turn?
When another friendly character is KO'd, place a resurrection marker in a square they last
Friendly.
occupied.
Okay. So then that's right, because what happened was I guess he hypered in with the serpent and hits like a carnage or something, and then dies, and it's supposed to. So he puts a marker in there, and George's like, "Oh my god, that's crazy." And then, they're about to go to like the next turn, and then George like looks at the card and says, "Dude, it's only your turn." And he says, "Oh, really? Oh, okay." He, takes the token back. Now, with what I just said, with the context and everything, is that cheating?
I mean, yeah, but
He's a high-level player. Remember that.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is not. I'm not saying. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, but this is like a real example that did happen. So people don't go, "Oh, you're just fake news."
Yeah.
Well, here's the question though: what denotes cheating? Intent or just make a mistake? Now, like that's actually if you knew the intent, but if he all day thought.
The intent.
Well, I understand that, but
it has to be based on
that's
the
the
action.
pool. I mean, so if it's just the action, then if we're just judging just the action, then yeah, it would be cheating.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what if this was round 1 of the first round 1?
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything has context. You can't just everything needs context.
So what do you propose a situation? Because that's the same thing that happened with Aaron with with the Milner and
So
I mean, the stuff like that happens, and it happened all day, and nobody caught it until the end
so
game.
here's how I there's 3 ways. Okay, 1, it's straight up cheating, and they're trying to see if they can get one by on you. Okay, and then you do the I didn't know, like what Perez is saying. That's really hard to do because there is the caveat of there's so many things going on, we don't know, whatever, blah blah blah. Number 2, it's just it's just like a no harm no foul. You caught it, let's take it back, let's go. Number 3, I guess it's kind of like one. It's an intelligence test, basically. If you're that dumb to get that on, you deserve. To me, you deserve. to
I
get
do
that.
I do actually kind of agree with that. Is that you can't really get cheated unless you let yourself get cheated.
That's what I was going towards.
But that opens that whole door that everyone's gonna be like, all right, I'm gonna go until somebody's, and then, but then what
Right, yeah.
happens when you catch it? Shouldn't there be a punishment? So, all right, I passed the test. Now what's the
Absolutely.
consequence to the
Yeah.
opponent?
Absolutely, yeah. No, but
Yeah.
that's absolutely true. I'm just saying that it happens a lot to the weak players.
Yeah.
Who there are. I've seen it as someone who judges and watches. Every once in a while, I'll if I'm in the tournament, I'll just make a mental note like, okay, gotta watch out for this guy. But if I'm judging it, I will go and say something, hey, you can't do that, whatever. And then I'll make a note like, okay, if that guy does it again, then okay, so if you give him a warning and you say you can't do that, and then you say 2 rounds later, when they're off camera and they're not around you and they do it again and you happen to catch them doing it again, then more or less they're cheating, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you can have like a strike system, or
Yeah, they do that too, and they do the magic. They have like levels of warnings. They go from warning to game loss to match loss to DQ, and then. But it's really really hard to call, to figure all this out.
Yeah.
Have you seen personally yourself recently?
Yeah, I mean,
it's like this.
I think there's a few. Well, for one thing, I want to say I think a lot of the people that do that are the lesser players that try to do that, because that's their way to try to get an advantage over people that you wouldn't normally have an advantage on and stuff. So I think a lot of the people that do it aren't really relevant. But there are a lot of top players that do it also. And then I mean there's a couple examples. I mean like the exact same example that you just gave with the Green Lantern, I think is really similar to when I went to the Alabama tournament.
Okay.
A few months back, Lane was playing
Frost.
The one Jack Frost, one of the portals, yeah. And there was, when you go into the square with the portal or whatever, then the portal has to go away. But he was saying that I heard there were some of the I never played him, but somebody that he said that played him was saying, oh well, yeah, those portals are really good because they just like stay there or whatever. And he hadn't been removing them when he just like moved into them, So he was saying like, oh, I moved into it, I didn't move through it or whatever. But that had been ruled on like a long time ago, and he had played it, and he had won a tournament with it, like, previously before that tournament. And so unless he was playing it wrong, those whole tournaments and that tournament until someone caught it, so either he'd been playing it wrong the whole time, or it had been, or maybe he said it had been a while and he just forgot, and I mean that's possible, you never know. I mean that's possible too, and maybe it had just been a while, you hadn't played, you forgot, and you were like, oh yeah, it does work like this.
Or the third possibility, he was administering the intelligence test.
Right? Yeah.
And he was like,
nobody ever plays Jack Frost.
Nobody
knows how this works. It's a little weird. It's a little weird worded. But there's examples like that. But there's also examples where it's not clearly the person isn't cheating. It's not even close to cheating, really. Actually, if anything, the other person is cheating. But if you want to talk about like last year where it was like important and where you need to have clear rules laid out in top 4 at Worlds when Easton was playing Matt. Right, he tried to call in Cosmic Spider-Man, and then he tried to shoot him. I was like, oh well, he can't see through characters. And Easton was like, oh well, I can just call him in this next square right here, and then I can shoot just fine. And Matt was like, well, you already called him in there. Yeah. So obviously Matt's not cheating. I'm not saying obviously but the question, that's the thing where it's like, how much do you let people take stuff back, or when is when does that line end, and when is stuff like that. I think it needs to be clarified more, because even though it is clear that that once you declare an action, if your opponent says that you can't take it back, I think it's pretty clear that you can't. But I think you can have a discussion of whether you should be allowed to or not. I think is the discussion, right? So obviously the judge said, yeah, you can't take it back, and so they were like, whatever. But it doesn't really make any sense to me that you can do that to somebody, because it makes no difference. Like there's nothing that's changed in the game. It's like 5 seconds later, he's like, oh yeah, I can just do it right here. Yeah, I mean, I mean,
But do you think? Okay, but do you think that? Okay, so but that's also assuming you know what he's gonna do. What if you don't know what he's gonna do?
what do you mean?
Like you don't know. Okay, so he called him in there, and he's like, "Oh, I was calling him in with the sole intention to shoot that guy."
Mm.
He's not gonna tell Matt that. He's just gonna bring him out there.
Right.
So if the thing is, he called him in. So here's what he called him in on that square. You don't know what he's gonna do at that point.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah,
says,
yeah. I don't stop people.
"Okay, I'm gonna shoot that guy." And he says, well, you can't see him." And he says, "Well, let me call him in on this square instead." But nothing happened, right?
Yeah.
Saying nothing happened.
Yeah. I mean, to me,
more
like,
information
tough
was
one,
given
man.
though at that point though.
but
Because
that's
like
not
it,
information.
well, I mean, it's like this. The way I look at it is, it's different if you would have placed him in this square, looked at it and said, actually, I want to place him in this square.
Right.
To me, I mean, because nothing was exchanged, nothing whatever, and now like, because that is a placement, that is a part of the skill of the game.
Yeah, that
Whereas,
is right. That is a skill. It's knowing and not knowing. Yeah, right.
it's like how about Pat? You saw that. I had a moment. I was playing Heroclixer and I placed. I killed Mini, and I had to place him. And he next to a character. Well, actually, I placed him in hindering, and I went to go outwit him, and then I was like, wait, I can't outwit him because he's in stealth. Now, what I wanted to do was go, well, I wish I could place him over here, but to me, that was a mistake on my part. That was a skilled mistake.
Right.
By not using everything. Whereas if I would have placed him in there and then said, you know what, actually, let's place him here before anything else was said, that to me is.
I think that's a very good point.
Different.
I mean, I sort of agree. And well, I mean, again, like first of all, like I'm not even saying Matt was doing anything wrong. I think it's just like a discussion, to be had about it. But as far as that goes, I mean, I'm not exactly sure, but if you placed it and then on your turn you went to outwit. Or you went later in your turn to outwit. I mean, it depends on how much stuff has happened.
Well, it was the next thing. It was the next
Yeah.
thing that I was about
See,
to do.
if it was the next thing,
and so I started to declare it, and then it was like, well, it's not. I can't do it.
Yeah. See, if I was,
but what's the difference between saying I'm going to shoot him and now I'm? Oh no, wait, I'm going to.
No, yeah. If I was your opponent in that case, I would have just said, yeah, you can just place it, just replace him. Yeah, because I mean, you still, to me, like until you've moved on, and again, it's a little hard to exactly narrow down what defines moving on, but I feel like once you've moved on, then you can't take it fast. But you're kind of still in the whole thing as far as I'm.
Here's what I do, and this is what I think now this is a good point to talk about. I do this to my opponents. I go, tell me where you want to place, and is that your final answer? Like, is that it? I'll let you do whatever you want. Go ahead, put here. If they want to say, can I see that guy here? Can I see that guy here? Fine. Do everything you want.
Yeah, just for like visual.
But then if you tell me, like, and I go, hey, is that it? Is that where you're going to attack from? Are you done? That is when it has to be done. Because you're both agreeing this is where it is. I'm letting you place however you want. But once you tell me this is where I'm going to place and I'm not going to move anymore, and then you go to do something else, that's on you.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I think that's something I'm gonna say something too.
I think the definition of like agreeing to things is I mean, it's always been.
It comes to that again.
There's a lot. That's been a big thing in the tournaments when we were running them out here that I think clarified a lot of things. Is when you had brought that up. You always brought that up at the beginning. Like, once you agree on something, it is what it is.
They're super trained to be very clear. They say this is where it, and you know what? If they do make a mistake on their placement, because we gave that speech in the beginning, they already know not to even ask the guy.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Okay, cool. You know what? I made the mistake. Next. So I think that is something that we do have to clarify when we do that this weekend. Right? So now this is a good discussion. That's why you're on, Paris, because you do have a lot of good insight, and you do also come from a background of other competitive games, and maybe you get on the Pro Tour at some point. Imagine.
If I win 34 more Seals events online,
just go to your local FNM and start there.
Yeah.
But okay, I guess we can move on from that though. That's a very good. This gives me a lot to think about for
Yeah.
when we do the all the announcements and stuff.
Yeah.
I know I'll probably get some pushback, but it's just like this is what it is. This is how we're gonna do it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, if not, they can judge.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because like the biggest problem is when you don't, if people go in thinking it's gonna be one thing, and then you in the middle change it,
Yeah.
then they're like, well, that's not what I signed up for. But if you explain everything how it's gonna be, and that's how it's gonna, and then now you can make a decision if you want to continue or not. So, okay, so top 10. You saw it go up. Did you what do you guys think? Remember, this is for the ROC Cup, right? Only ROC Cup.
Yeah.
So what do they mean by only for the ROC Cup? Is this only players that are going?
Only players that are going
Confirmed
and kind
going?
of,
Okay.
and like specifically for this tournament. So like, if some good player who hasn't played in 10 years showed up, they probably still wouldn't make the top 10 because it's like for this tournament. So,
Okay.
I mean, it depends. I mean, if you're trying to make like the most objective rankings possible and just go results based, and just like, I mean, I'm trying taking my personal opinion out as much as possible. I'm just putting all the results together and looking at the finishes and stuff. I would say it's pretty close to accurate. I think Dan would probably go over PJ, but
you think he's one, PJ's two?
yeah, I think they're definitely one and two, the two of them.
Yeah, that argument can be made like all day. I think from
Yeah.
your side.
But I think Dan would mainly just because of the ROC Cup. I think just kind of pushes him just a little over PJ. But I think those would be the clear number two, 1 and 2, and then everything for the rest part. I like everybody who's on there has won multiple tournaments in the last year, except like Adam, I guess. But
yeah, he's kind of a awkward one in here. No?
yeah, he is. Yeah, I think and I think it's kind of, I think that's, where some personal bias comes in, where it's like, I don't want to leave Adam off the list because I know Adam is like, because you're kind of going like top 10 people most likely to win the tournament, and Adam's kind of like always a threat type of thing. So it's like,
if you were to take someone out and put someone else in, who would it be?
Well,
aside from you, obviously you know you like number one, so whatever.
If I was trying to do just like a less subjective ranking,
I mean, so on this list, okay, is there anyone that's left out? That you think? Snubs.
Ed, I guess.
Ed? Ed is here.
Yeah.
Ed is 7.
Oh, he was 7? Oh,
Yeah.
I missed that. Okay. Ed was higher than Isaac?
No, Isaac's 4.
Isaac's 4.
Okay. Maybe I need to relook at the list then.
Scott is here. Let's just look at it. Okay. PJ's 1, Dan's 2, Easton is 3, Isaac is 4, Matt is 5, Scott is 6, Ed is 7, Dustin is 8, Adam is 9, Lane is 10. Give me the number 11 who should be in 10. How's that? Or 9 or 8, whatever. Of course.
It's kind of hard too because you got to think about who's actually going. Right?
Yeah.
Well, it's everyone from that region. Come on, everyone's gonna be there. Paris, you know this.
No. I'm not really sure.
You think this is the
do you have one?
Yeah, I think that's pretty accurate.
Okay, so I don't know some of these people that, I mean, I just see their names come up a lot, but then again, there's also a whole bunch of events out there.
Yeah.
And
you mean like other people that you might talk about?
I mean, there's people.
I mean, like you know everybody on this list, don't you?
So here's I know everyone here. So
you can make a little list of like Warren, DJ, like Gosselman, Tyler. But I don't think any of them would actually be top 10.
If because Adam has been so inactive, he would be the only one I could think of that should that if we're gonna go with recent and active, Scott and Adam are the two guys that could get bumped down, and the guys I would put in just from this, and also because remember I've seen, I've seen the results. I don't know the backstory, I just know the results. I would say, I guess Randy Carter is one. No, Randy Carter. Like,
I don't really know.
I think I just see all of his like top finishes.
I do see his name, but I don't think I've played him or anything, so I'm not really like I can't really speak too much on that actually.
Yeah, I guess it would be him, and maybe Tyler Spees, just because and then again, this could also just be the click stop narrative that's just pumping me with the the CNN news that's telling me that these guys are really good, and I don't know because there's no events out here other than ours. I don't know, and for me, it's like, oh, I guess they're good because every time you see it, it's always their names. Those are the two names that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. Well, I think the thing
tell you what they look like, but
I think the thing with I know Tyler got top 16 at Worlds this year, which is at least something. And I know he's won a few things, but I think all the tournaments he's won has been with the Giganto and Namers.
Okay.
Which I don't know. I don't know. I think that it's the type of team that people are just bad at playing against because they don't know what to do. But
the threat assessment.
I got one more name, and I know there's two of them, but there's one of them plays Nate White.
Oh yeah. I don't think I've played him either, but I do know about him a lot more, and I'm of the impression that he is pretty good too. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know he plays with Easton and stuff.
Those are the three that I can think of.
Yeah.
That.
I mean, I'm not sure if Warren has actually ever won a ROC at this point. He's Team Worlds and he's got top 4, top 8 at ROCs of every single one he goes to. So.
Yeah, I mean that World Championship is huge. It carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Just ask Paris. Dude,
I got a question. Is it extra motivation that you're not on the list?
Yeah. There's only one answer to this, Paris. What are you thinking about?
Winning.
Yes.
Putting
the middle finger to this list when you're done and you win.
I'm not sure.
Your dad was hoping that it would light a fire under your ass.
Yeah. Well, I think that was probably already there, but it doesn't hurt.
Okay. I remember, was it the last one or the one before, where there was a little bit of pushback with why are you in the top 10 still?
Yeah, I was like 9 or whatever.
Yeah, and I believe, it's deserving now that he's in there, but Lane was like, I should be on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and and I agree, he should be. He's active, he does well.
Yeah, he wins a high quantity of tournaments.
Yeah, and he's active, he plays a lot, so
yeah.
He's always, every time I'm like, oh, who wins the ROC Online? It's like always him.
I don't think that, I wouldn't say that I should be on the list, especially if you're going off, a result, like recency results and stuff, but,
Well, I put my money on you, Paris. You're my dark horse. Take it home.
I also would like, I want someone to check my bet again. So I have to make sure that you're motivated properly, or else I lose another $50.
It's not the money; it's just the losing with Pat.
I lost $50 betting on PJ and Easton in the tournament. So.
Well, dude, I lost 50 to Scott because I took my guys over the field.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll take my guys over the field again, but I feel like it's a little bit more stacked because we added Dan to it.
Yeah.
Dan's that's a big boon to the.
Yeah. That's the one. I think Dan is the highest average likelihood of winning whatever tournament he's in as anybody. I feel like like across like just like if you averages like what his percentage of winning the tournament is, if you could do that, across all the tournaments he's in, I think he'd probably have the highest just because he's like always 50-60% or whatever type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, his only loss really was that freaking roll off, right? The roll-off
What the one where he got top 4 in Arkansas or whatever?
No, in at nationals, he he
Oh,
lost.
yeah.
It was a roll off.
It was a roll off, yeah.
I feel like he wins if I feel like he wins the whole thing if he wins that roll off. No, I don't know.
No, I think Isaac still wins.
You think so?
I think it'd be a harder matchup for Isaac, but I think Isaac would still win. But I also think that Abdul deserved to win that game also. So I think it played out properly.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's true. I mean, yeah, it could. But yeah, but I watched the whole thing live, and I think that I was like, I mean, if Dan wins this game, I think that he kind of like got by with one. So I was glad that Abdul won from that perspective of that. I just thought Abdul had the like better game that game specifically. But then I think
were they just not hitting or not attacking or what?
What?
Were they just like? Why was it a roll off? Were they not?
Well, no. I mean, well, first of all, it was on caverns or whatever, underground caverns or whatever.
I feel like they need to stop making those kind of maps.
Yeah, they do. So that was really mainly. It's like when you both have Groot and you have Walking Woods and you have a ton of blocking. There's only so much you can do. But Dan got hit first, but then he hit Abdul back and then he tied it up or whatever. Yeah. But I think overall I played out how it should have played.
What do you think the top teams or top pieces? Okay, what do you think the most played figure will be?
I think that would probably. Well, actually,
main event.
I actually think it's. Are you kind of just like actual figure, like not ID card? Or?
Figure, like last year, it was Carnage.
Like main force.
Holy shit! Just included. Like
I think super rare Cyclops.
You think Cyclops?
Because I think more teams. I think. Some teams are. I think that every team still plays Cyclops no matter what. So I think that's like the number. Even though Wolverine is the best ID card for a lot of teams, I think there are teams that don't want to play Wolverine, but every team still wants to play Cyclops. So, and even though you might have like teams that have both will probably have more Wolverines than Cyclops. So it might even. It's definitely one of those two. I think.
What do you think, Chase?
I still think it's Groot. Well, no, that's not true. I mean, not when you're counting the ID cards, then.
Yeah, if you're counting the sideline.
If I'm gonna say like something like a main force piece, whatever, I'm gonna say Groot.
Well, no, because you can slap Groot anytime. Cyclops, I guess. Also, you can play multiple Groots. You can play multiple Cyclops too, but that's most likely going to be purely on an X-Men team. And I personally don't think X-Men will make as a prevalent showing as they have been.
But it's
I can agree with that.
I feel like they're solved.
It could even actually be Professor X because every single team is going to play ID cards, right? So what's the first ID card that every single team puts on is either Wolverine, Professor X, or Cyclops.
Well,
so
which the non-prime?
I think most teams will just have both unless you're full, and then I think you only have prime.
Okay, so we have to pick one because you can still play other primes. If you play other primes, then you can't play that prime.
Well, there's no other good primes, so.
Is there not really?
I mean, who is it? Who would it be?
I mean, there's more title characters that are better than that.
Isn't Red Leader pretty good?
No.
No?
I don't think so.
I mean, he could do some cool stuff.
He's a worse version of Old Chase.
Yeah, he talks shit on your guy.
My Red Leader.
That's Chase's guy right there, Red Leader.
No,
I'm on 18.
my dad likes Red Leader a lot, but
yeah,
no,
I always tell him I don't like it.
I don't know. I think there's. I have a question. How many stars?
Well, I think the quantity will be low, but I think how many stars in top 8? Probably like 3. How many stars in the tournament? Probably like 5.
So it's gonna be Dustin, Dan, PJ, Easton.
Yeah, those are the people that have been playing it.
and Isaac. Ed,
yeah,
Scott. Yeah, that's like so 8. That's the 8.
yeah. And you might get somebody from Canada or
That's
something.
if they play it too. I mean,
Yeah.
why not playing it? But I mean, if they have any idea that a few other people are going to be playing that, then they might just jump ship and try to get something that counters that as well.
I mean, I personally I never want to play mirror matches. I usually go specifically out of my way to not play mirror matches. So, but that might just be me.
No,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
right there with you.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, of course. But here's the thing: if it's like last year, okay, people try to go out of their way, but it was overwhelming that Unimind was the piece. So that's the other thing that I think people still don't get. If something is that good,
No, I agree. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like no matter how much you try, but if you just lose to it and it's just that good,
Yeah,
it's
I
happening.
think that's why I try to, I mean it's pretty simple, but I usually try to take you're gonna have to play. I mean the pieces are meta for a reason, or they're popular for a reason, or they're good for a reason, or whatever. But
Yeah.
using it with with other figures that aren't as obvious to make them exploit them more or whatever, I think is where the difference comes in like team building and stuff.
Or to help with the mirror match if it's going to be that prevalent.
Yeah, I mean, like when you played Iron Pharaoh, like Iron Pharaoh obviously was like the biggest piece, but Lara wasn't. So and the same like Faust was obviously super broken, but Spiral was kind of what you needed. So I think
Yeah,
that's
no,
kind of a
that's
important thing.
that's true. But the thing is, I'm saying like it's still in a sense a mirror match, right?
It's
Because
yeah,
you're
like
still
similar
Oh
doing
yeah,
archetypes.
Iron Pharaoh versus Iron Pharaoh. You're still playing Faust versus Faust. You're still playing,
Yeah.
but
This is
non. I mean, we're not talking about like, well, I have a Groot, you have a Groot. No. We're talking about
yeah.
like actual pieces on the board, not like I
Yeah.
have overdrive, you have overdrive.
It's like
Something
when
that matters.
you're playing the same deck in Magic, but you have
Yeah, it's like
your side deck is teched out better for the mirror or something like
exactly.
that.
yeah.
So, but it's still a mirror match.
Yeah.
But you're gonna play something completely off the grid, kind of.
Oh, me for the it's like one step off the grid. It's not like a lot of steps off the grid.
Man, I wanted to see just Thor with his Mjolnir. Actual Thor with his Mjolnir. They're like, oh, you're playing Mjolnir? Yeah. Where are you placing it? No, it's on my guy. What? Yep.
You don't want to see Better Ray Bill with Stormbreaker?
Dude, I've actually been just playing around with some of the guys here, just testing it, and I think it's pretty good.
I think it's good too.
It,
I think
like
one of
right
the
now,
problems is I think
in the
Wolverine
meta
is
right
one of the
now,
problems.
Not really, because if you play it, if you have the right guys on it, you just put the Walking Woods in front. What's he gonna do?
Yeah.
He has to flurry that, and then he dies next turn.
Yeah.
It gets around tank, unless Wolverine comes with it.
Yeah.
That's one thing, but also it's just I have it with mine's not a cosmic the way I play it. It's not cosmic. I don't know. Maybe the cosmic's the right way. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool just to get around the range teams. Like they
Yeah.
can't. Cyclops. It really makes them so 100% how they have to play their team.
Yes, yeah. So that which makes it hard to play because it's like you have all the it's like if you could play knowing your opponent's hand or something, then the good players would be better than the bad players because the good players would know what to do with it.
Yeah.
So it's like you have the information, but you have to know what to do with it.
Yeah,
exactly. So I think it makes it harder to play.
It is tough. It is definitely tough because I've played it. I haven't lost with it, but also because it's more because the guys are like, I just have to be within 4, right? I'm like, no, you have to start your turn.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Just give George a better build team and he'll.
I know, right?
He'll take it home.
I mean, the fact that he has also prob. I play it with Penguin, so that he gets a +1.
Oh yeah.
And so it's pretty cool, and you can easily do it with a title character just to round it out.
Yeah.
But what's kind of cool how I have it is you can protect your retaliators, which is really good.
Yeah.
It's Professor X proof, so you can move your Walking Woods completely out, make them have to kill him, and then your Groot or Carnage comes across, retaliate, make another Pog, whatever. Whereas before, you got your only 2 because they're gonna snipe your guy across the map.
Right. Yeah.
So, but it's I think it's a fringe archetype.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
You gonna say what the team is?
No, because there's some Whiskey Opens coming up, and I have to. All I know is Sorrow can kiss my ass. Mind control me.
I think Star's a little overrated.
Yeah, okay. That's what I like to think, but I also haven't played against it, so I just go by whatever.
I mean, it can get like really insane.
It's the narrative of CNN News, aka Quick Stop.
It is really insane because if you stay back, then it can just harass you from your starting area. But if you move forward, then it gets triple targets instead of single target mind controls. And so then it can just like get really like, it can start like cascading out of hand if you just let them get, back to back triple target mind controls, I mean, it's definitely really good, but, it's only 100 points. That's the main thing. It's like, your Starro team, but it's only a 30-year team, so it's not like a Unimind team,
Well, here's who else can go with Starro? He's also a cosmic who has prob and protects him.
I was literally just thinking about it too. I was like, so you can do Starro, Beta, a couple of Brutes. What's wrong with that?
The mirror match, baby. That's the mirror match tech right there. Yeah. I can mind control you, you can mind control me.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's 225. That's really nothing compared, because there's a lot of costumes that are cheap.
Yeah.
But thank God that there's no new shit coming out this week to have to worry about for
construction. Yeah, the Battle World timing was perfect because it was late enough where it could be used for teams and prizes and stuff, but it was early enough where it doesn't mess with the constructed tournament. So,
so this is actually the last major event of this format before Battle World.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it's kind of cool to see what the last format looks like right before we go to the WizKids Opens and then see.
There's only a couple things from Battle World that I think are really irrelevant. But
what do you think? Which ones?
Yeah, like obviously Sheriff Strange I think is good. And then the only other thing that caught my eye so far, I haven't really been looking at it, was the Doc Ock. I think it's a super rare Doc Ock that can RCE and then RCU again as long as it needs a 6 or less and keeps hitting. So obviously it's it's probably kind of hard to set it up or pull it off or whatever, but theoretically, I mean, it seems pretty good.
Yeah. I think
kind of like Shang-Chi-ish, but with range.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
Yeah.
Probably a little bit easier to set up because Shang-Chi needed Red Wing, an outsider, a flexor, and you're like, oh my god.
And just and you have range, and Doc Ock is 20, 30 points cheaper, so.
Yeah, that's true. I actually think that this guy is decent.
Oh, did you get him?
No, Steve Rogers. He looks good.
I'm not sure. I haven't.
He has so he's 50 points. So he's like one of those. He has leadership, 50 points, PD, running shot, ESD, 3 damage, 8, 10, 18, pass soldier, whatever. But the damage power is if he or someone adjacent to him is attacked, they can't replace their values if it's higher, and they can't positively modify their attacks.
Oh, yeah.
So it's essentially like a mini Nighthawk.
Yeah. For
50 points with leadership, and that's tough because he has ESD.
Yeah. Did you say it was for anybody adjacent or just him?
Him and people adjacent, friendlies.
Yeah.
So
he's pretty good.
He's 50 points. I mean, he's 50 points.
And he still can call in.
Yeah.
He can call in. He's got support, defend in the back end, but he's hard because in sealed it was hard to fight him. I was like, oh my god. I have I have these great range guys, and he has ESD in hindering.
Yeah.
I can't pump my attack. And I'm like, oh my god, where's my PD? You need to play PD just to get him down.
Yeah.
And you need to have multiple perplexes just to get him down. Well, guess what? If you're playing X-Men, you're assed out.
Yeah.
Because X-Men, he's not X-Men, or he's not. You can't even do it because they're just Cyclops is hitting an 11 on 20 on this guy.
Yeah.
Good luck. And
Yeah,
that's
we
not
got 5 props, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's a 50-point guy that you have to deal with. Like you're gonna
Yeah.
that's all that. So I think he has a chance. He also has a PD team ability, so he's not like
Yeah.
he's not doing anything. He can actually
And I think there's a 50-point figure. I don't remember who it is. Like, it has leadership, and then if you succeed, then they subtract their action total by 1.
Oh yeah, but it's still minimum 2 or minimum
Yeah,
2.
still, I think it's
Just
minimum
two,
2.
yeah.
Well, it seems okay. I mean,
it seems like everyone wants to make Iron Fist work, and I just don't see it happening.
oh yeah, I don't think Iron Fist is very good.
The
I
only
keep
other
hearing
one
people
see,
making team and go, "What do you do if you go against Iron Fist?" I don't think that's a thing.
Yeah.
the only other one that I can think of in the current metagame where there's a lot of colossals and a lot of retails and just shredders, Goblin King, monsters, whatever. The Witch Angela. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
45 points, 11-3, like great for 45 points, but more importantly, her and character or just anyone within 4 gets +2 defense against monster and colossals.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Goblin
That
King.
is really, really good for 45 points.
Yeah.
Oh, you said that.
So, yeah, I think, for me, I would look if you look at how everything currently is right now, where there's a ton of big things and monsters,
Yeah.
it could be really good,
Yeah.
because they get +2. That means you essentially save 20 points, or instead of Unseen, you have her.
She can
Yeah.
attack.
She can attack. She's an 11-3 with Blades, Giant Reach. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty good. Of course, Nick has Outwit, Prob, he has all these things, but man, the +2 defense, and also if you're going up against a mini Shredder or just Goblin King, all you guys are +2. That's I think that's underrated, and I don't think her thing is I don't think it's unique modifier either. So for 90, I don't know. I don't know if you'd play too, but I mean, if you really want to hate on giant girls and stuff, you just play Nick. You just play Unseen and her. That's
110 points.
and you're essentially +4.
Yeah.
I don't know how you win, but hey, you control people. Think about it. Starro kind of gets screwed, right?
I mean, yeah.
Because you get +2 to your defense.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have to waste a lot of resources with that. So
That's why we need Nighthawk still legal. Nighthawk would shut Starro down.
Well, for 95 points, you got Sheriff Steve and her. There you go.
Yeah.
You get +2 defense. They can't pump their attacks. Yeah.
But Nighthawk says you can't mind control.
Oh no, you're right. Obviously. But yeah. Obviously that's one. Or you can play the Doctor.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was the anti-brother voodoo.
That was the thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was funny. But all right, well, I guess that's basically it, huh?
Is that it?
We got this weekend coming up, and hopefully Paris. Either I would say top 4 or better would be success.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, stop putting so much pressure on my Dark Horse.
Well, that was less pressure. There's still 2 spots above top 4.
That's true. So then, if Dan and PJ don't meet in the finals, it's not a success. So there you go.
That'd be a horrible final.
Really?
I mean, they're playing the same team, right? The boring team. It would just be like.
I mean, they're not playing the same. You guys have to find out.
Well, you just cut this part out.
They are going to be playing the same team. Hopefully, your team is a little bit better. I will be helping out with who goes on the feature match. So, if it's just a bunch of, I think we'll go like, okay, we're going to see 1 Starro, done. See 1 Unimind, done. Shredder, done. After that, I'm like, let's see who's 3-0. That's not one of those 3 archetypes. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Or I guess X-Men would be in, but I feel like X-Men is they're kind of on the down, so I think it would be a nice surprise for them too.
I think because they're specifically weak against Starro, so I think that that I think is kind of bringing it down. But I still think that they're really strong. So.
Also, but you know what? They're a known commodity that it's not that hard to counter because the Blackbird has to carry the whole team. A tank just like wrecks that.
No, you just take them first.
What's that?
You take them first.
Did you not see that's what George did to Steve?
No, but you just take their tank, and then they can't tank you.
Then you get yeah, I guess.
Because you hit with Cyclops
on his,
and then you move up.
I'm trying to think what Steve did on turn. No, that's what he did. No, he didn't do that. He hit with Cyclops and then he ran.
Yeah, see that's he did it. He moved. No, he moved first. He piloted and then he moved, right? And then he attacked and moved back. Turn 3.
Yeah.
So what I would, what you usually do. First of all, I picked the wrong map. But what you would usually do is pilot and then just shoot with Cyclops, move up, and then attack. So you're attacking turn 2, and then you're getting the rest of your attacks turn 3, but you're getting the first attack in turn 2.
You're saying turn 1 pilot and move? Is that what you're saying?
No. Turn 1 just pilot.
Okay.
And then turn 2, you just call in Cyclops from the back and just shoot the back row with him, with the tank. And then move up behind him. And then the next turn you get the rest of your attacks. Because even from row 2, even if you stay in your starting area, even if it's from row 2, you can sidestep the Wolverine up 1 to row 3, so it's still next to Blackbird, and then you can call in Cyclops into 4, and then you can sidestep Cyclops 5, 6. You can provide 3 speed or whatever, and then he can range shot to 13. But you move the Blackbird first or whatever. So then he's next to the Blackbird, so then he has a 10 range. So you're shooting the whole map, and Wolverine never leaves outside of 5. So you just turn 1, you just pilot and stay in your starting area. And then turn 2, you call in Cyclops, move up, running shot, drop tank, or just shoot something. And then you're sitting in the middle of the map and you just tank drop them, and then you have everybody sitting there for next turn. I think that's the normal game plan. I think that's, it's so fast and you have so much left to deal with after you get tanked that I think it's really hard to deal with. And I think that a lot of people don't do the first couple turns right.
Well, Steve, this is not me this time. It's Paris. That's talking shit.
Does Steve play tank?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. I'm pretty sure he played the same.
Just according to Paris here, he's completely wrong.
Well, he started. He couldn't really do that on his map. Yeah,
I know. Again, it's the guy.
I did talk to him afterwards. He was
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, and then
he had already, I messaged him and talking to him about his game with George, and he was like, "Yeah, I picked the wrong map," and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds about right." So it wasn't this isn't me trying to tell him. He already realized that, but
he already heard it from you.
Yeah.
You're I already told him straight to his face.
That makes sense. You know what? I'm not gonna sucker punch you. I'm gonna wait until you turn around, and then I'm gonna punch you. Okay. All right.
It's
I guess that's better.
This is the closest thing to a recurring segment on our show.
Well, he's not going to ROC Cup, so.
Oh, he's not.
There's going to be so there's going to be no continuing stories. But I guess at Worlds maybe. Who knows?
Well, guys, if you like some of this content or you want to check the top 10 list, go ahead and you can check that on MajestixCCG.com. It's where you can become an Apex insider. I'm going to push it every week. I'm going to push it till the day I die because it's actually one of my favorite things to read and check out for Heroclix. Other than that, the ROC Cup's coming up. We got the Invitational after that.
Got a bunch of articles coming up this week. There's already all in queue. Paris will have a team article. Dan and PJ have a team article, and Adam they're all gonna have team articles on what they're gonna.
Are they gonna have their team up?
Yeah, their team up it'll be up probably Saturday.
So if you guys,
Saturday.
How much would people pay just for that?
Well, I have people sign up. I have people sign up for the month and then cancel just so they can see what these guys are playing.
Dude, I'm not even mad about that.
But that's the thing too is we're giving out good content. They're giving out basically insight into their mind, because they're also telling you how it plays and why. And Adam had a good article today on the Harley Quinn ID, why you should be playing it more. Jay did the top 10 maps for Modern Age. I actually learned a lot of things on that too. I didn't know that. My dumbass didn't realize you can't place the map on that one map. What's that map?
Galador Promenade?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can't place the boxing ring on it? Yeah.
Yeah, that was like, huh, okay. And then I didn't know that, using the Mind Control Professor X to run everybody off the ledge in
Bifrost?
Yeah, see, look at this. I don't know any of this shit. Harris does. This is an old hat.
My dark horse.
For me, I don't know.
Ready.
I don't know any of this stuff, so it's a good thing I don't play anymore because I embarrass myself. So,
money's in a good place right now. I'm feeling good about this.
It is.
I just don't slam the cup on the table.
That was one time.
It's one time too many. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
You gonna tell Dan that too?
Don't flip the table. I'm going to tell Dan to not slam the cup too, because he did that too.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like, man, I thought Paris was trying to punch a hole through the
Paris was worse?
Dude, well, it's because who was it against?
Justin.
Yeah, it was because it was against Justin. It was because it was against Justin. It's gonna be fun, man. We gotta have a little bit of like story going into this, like why don't you throw some water bottles or a dolly through a bus or something, so we can have some.
So you're like you're like the Dana White in this position.
Yeah. We need to promote this. You know what? I take it back. You can slam the.
But only against Dustin.
You know what? Against someone you don't like. Ooh, how's that?
So then you'll know because.
Then you'll know because Paris is slamming the cup.
I think it'd be hilarious the first thing he did if he sat down and across from Dustin and slammed the cup.
How about win or lose? Win or lose, you slam it either way. But only against someone you don't like. So that way, or listen to this, no, and they get the inside joke. All
right.
I think that'll be great. All right, man. This is
good.
It's gone on too long.
All right, guys. The rambling as usual. All right. Well, I'm out. Thank you. You guys have fun at the ROC. I'll be here.
Well, you could watch. And,
yeah, I like to watch.
And in the weekend, if you guys have any doubt on the values, Perplexity Attack.